Okay guys, I'm back. I'm gonna do a review on a knife I haven't seen a lot of YouTube videos on, so wanna give my opinions on the knife, hopefully do a pretty in-depth review, and I'll take it apart. Talking about the Hogue EX-02. Gonna start off with some of the specifications of this knife. Blade length is 3.375 inches, so very close to 4 inches. Handle length is 4.5 inches. It is a little longer than the blade because it has the glass breaker on it. Overall length is 7.875 inches, so a little bit under 8 inches. Blade thickness, that is 0.15 inches. Weight 5 ounces. Blade steel is 154 cm. Rockwell hardness of 57 to 59, and it is cryogenically heated. Cryogenically heat treated. This particular model of the Hogue EX-02 that I have is a spear point blade. And I have the black and gray Damascus handles that are unique to Hogue knives. Basically just a regular G10 with a pattern in it, layered G10. It's pretty cool. It's not my favorite design that I've ever seen in G10, but it's unique. One of the main reasons I like this knife is the speed of deployment. Very fast. I was not expecting it to be this good of a flipper. I'll compare this knife a lot to the CRKT My Racer, just because it is similar in some ways. It's obviously a very different shape, but it is a flipper design with a captured liner lock, which this is a liner lock with a lock on it. When I take it apart, I'll show you how that works. Very simple design. This one has excellent detent, which gives it nice flipping action. This one runs on Teflon washers, which this one actually has phosphor bronze washers. The detent on this one is but perfectly strong, I think. Makes the deployment very fast. When you have it open like this, the glass breaker doesn't stick out past my hand, so couldn't use it with the blade open. I don't have very big hands at all, so if you do have big hands, it's not gonna stick out at all. To get a good grip with a glass breaker, you can have it closed with the blades towards you. The choil, when it's open, will keep your hand from slipping up too much. You can get your thumb wraps around there nicely, and then it sticks out enough for you to get out of your sinking car or whatever you need to use the glass breaker for. The glass breaker is actually made of Zytel. It's part of the back spacer right here. It does have a lanyard pin right there. You can get a piece of gutted 550 cord through there. pocket clip is either tip up, right hand carry, or tip down, right hand carry. No mounting holes on this side. I do believe that you can get this knife in left-handed, which I'm sure the pocket clip would come on the other side. This knife comes in a few different designs. It comes in a Tonto version blade. It also comes in each blade shape comes in a version either thumb studs with no flipper or flipper with no thumb studs. You can also get each of those versions with green and gray Damascus. Okay, back to the pocket clip. It's a wireframe design. It's got some standoffs right there, which give you the room for your lip of your pocket. Retention is good on this pocket clip. I do like this pocket clip because it spreads the weight of the knife, which is not very much. It's only 5 ounces, which for a heavy duty knife like this, I should say medium duty to light heavy use, if that makes any sense. I wouldn't categorize this as a heavy duty folder just because it is so light. More on that, the liners, his steel liners, some jimping right there. The jimping does not go through to the G10, that's smooth, but you can feel it when you have not when you have it like this, but if you run your finger over it, you can feel it. Jimping on the back of the blade is pretty smooth. Not very functional, but when you have it in this grip and you put your thumb up here, you don't really need it because of the flipper. Acts as a great choil. It is very fast deploying. This can be fast, but you really have to try at it. Teflon washers are always a lot smoother than phosphor bronze washers, but the detent on this one, this is not gonna fall closed like it would if it had Teflon washers. But the detent on this one is just so good that as soon as you break the detent, it just flies open every time. I can open this thing as light, and it still opens all the way. If you have an EX-01 and aren't sure about this one, like I wasn't, just because of how it does look. It looks kind of basic, pretty simple, and it does cost more than the EX-01 does right now. Here, I'll pull that out and show you guys. It is very different from the EX-01. This is the 4-inch, so you can see how much bigger the 4-inch EX-01 is compared to the EX-02. I'd say the EX-01 is still my favorite. They're both designed by Alan Elishewitz, who does do a custom version of this knife. Actually, this is the production version of his tank folder, so that's what this is modeled after. I believe the EX-04 now is another production version of one of his custom knives, which I am looking forward to. I may get it, I may not. It does look like it's only tipped down the new EX-04, so I'm not a big fan of that. This comes tipped down, but I switched it, so. The EX-01 is button lock, this is liner lock. It does have a lock for the lock on both of these. This one is much lighter than this is. The Damascus version of this is lighter, but this is still lighter than both of those. This one is, the steel liners in this are pretty much fully skeletonized. You'll be able to see that when I take it apart. I would say if you can only get one, get this one. You'll be very happy with this. Smooth deployment. This one has Teflon washers. No backspacer. It's just two pieces of aluminum or G10 in the Damascus case. Button lock makes this easy to use. This one here, I don't know if everybody knows this, but it didn't do this. I had the Damascus version before this one, but it didn't do that on that version. But on this version, if you put the lock on halfway and then deploy it, you see it pops into place, which can be annoying because if you accidentally do that, open your knife, go to close it, you can't close it. This is very smooth. But if you're looking something for a little bit smaller, this is a little bit fatter handles than the EX-01. Pocket clip on this one does give you a few hot spots when you're holding it. This is very comfortable. Something I wanted to mention that I thought was very impressive that I noticed right away when I got my EX-01 is that the edges on these blades come hand sharpened and honed almost to a mirror. Well, that is a mirror polish. On this one you can't really see it too well. The bevel on that has no sharpening marks whatsoever. That's a mirror polish. This one came almost the same way. This one I can see some sharpening marks on though. This one was probably sharpened by somebody else who's not as good at it. But still very impressive that they take the time to hand sharpen each one of these knives. Okay, let me take it apart and show you the inside. Uses these standard Torx bits, so start with this side. I already took the pocket clip off. The standoffs kind of stick in there. You can take them out, but I don't need to, so I'm gonna leave them in there. Start with. Well, I should probably start with the other side. So the other side has the pivot, which I'm going to have to take off. See if the scales off. Let's hope there's no surprises in this knife that's going to explode out. You should always take knives apart in the open position so the lock bar doesn't explode your knife open once you get the screws off. Okay, so pretty that's a pretty thick pivot. poke this through so it comes off for us. Okay, it says, probably can't read that, but it says EX-02 Rev D HTM, which is the company. You can see this liner is pretty skeletonized, 2 big holes. Okay, probably not going to take this off the backspacer. You can see it screws into the backspacer right there, so this would probably be a pretty easy knife to pimp if you want to have it pimped. But I don't want to try to get the pin back in the right spot, or the stop pin back in the right spot, so I'm going to try to get the other side off so that we can see the lock. If I can get that through there somehow. I really wanted to show you how the liner lock block works. Maybe I can just rotate it out of the way. No. Okay, so took some doing, but I got it apart. It still has the pivot in there. You can see the lock is a post, a partial post. It sticks into the knife with a little spring mounted in the G10 right there. You can move it back and forth. Locks forward. That's unlocked. That's locked. Okay, I'm gonna try not to move the blade so I don't have to try to line up the washers again. But you can see where the skeletonizing is here. It's even got some skeletonizing in the lock bar. And you can see right here, this is how the lock works. It sits here. When you push it forward, it moves it over this area so that you cannot push it back that way. When you unlock it, it sits right in this cutout. You can see the detent ball hole right there. Alright, here we are, all back together. Did take some adjusting on the pivot to get it flipping as good as it was, but it is back. This is a more complicated knife to take apart, so I would not recommend it. So I did it for you. That's what it looks like on the inside. I'd give this knife, if I had to give it a rating, I'm gonna go with a scale of 1 to 100. There's so many knives, you don't want to be stuck with a 1 to 10. Then I have to rate knives that I don't like as much as other knives the same way. So 1 to 100, I give this knife an 80. I'll give it an 80, which is a B. There you have it, the Hogue EX-02 spear point flipper in black and gray Damascus. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.